Now talk to me.
For the lack of knowledge, God says, his people perish. Paul said that the Jews worship God with zeal and yet without knowledge. It's possible to have a lot of zeal and have very little knowledge. It's possible to be in love and not understand what love is all about. It's possible to meet a person and say you love the person and not understand the person. Marriage is very serious business. How many of you know that? It's very, very serious. If a person wants to drive a car, they have to go and learn about traffic lights, traffic signals. They have to learn the mechanisms of driving a car, go to sit for an exam, and it's only when they pass that you give them a driving license. And even that, you renew it every so often. For almost everything we do in our lives, we learn, we acquire some knowledge in order to do them. But when it comes to marriage, it seems as if nobody wants to learn. And even in the church, when we have a learning program called a marriage counseling, a lot of people see it as an interference in their agenda, because they assume they know everything. However, the rate at which marriages are collapsing indicates that although people are mature when they marry, they don't get into marriage with the knowledge that will sustain the marriage. And just because you are of age and physically mature and know how it is to be with a man or with a woman, and just because you can produce a child, does not mean that you understand how to run marriage. And that's why it's important that when we're teaching about marriage, we are not teaching to excite your imagination. We are not teaching to tickle you and to make you smile and happy. But it's for you to have information and knowledge you can live by in order to sustain your marriage. When your marriage goes wrong, other aspects of your life suffer. And so you have to get it right. It's also important to know that it's God who put the first man and woman together. And he didn't put them together to punish them. He put them together because two are better than one. But sometimes in marriage you realize that although theoretically we know two are better than one, in marriage two become worse than one. Because the two sometimes don't act to support one another, they act to destroy one another. And if you're going to get married, you have to have some major structural changes in your thinking. If you don't have those changes, your marriage will go through suffering. So let's go back to Genesis, where everything began. Genesis chapter 2, verses 18 to 25. Don't assume that just because you are married, you know everything about marriage. And for those of you who are not married, marriage is not just about sex. It's not just sex education you need in order to get married. You need life education. You need to know how to live with another human being who is of a different gender. And for your information, marriage is between a man and a woman, not between a woman and a woman and a man and a man. Genesis chapter 2, verse 18 to 25. And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I'll make him a helper comparable to him. Out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field, and every bird of the air, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called each living thing, that was its name. So Adam gave names to all cattle, to the birds of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper comparable to him. And the Lord God caused the deep sleep to fall on Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. Then the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, he made into a woman, and brought her to the man. And Adam said, "This is now bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed." There are three words we talked about last week about marriage, and the first reason why God saw the need for marriage was for man to be able to share. Share. Everybody say share. The second reason was support. Say after me, support. And the third reason was honor. Let's say that together. These are the three important things that are needed in every marriage. Selfish people will have difficulty in marriage. Stingy people, closed up people will find it very difficult having a good marriage, because marriage is about sharing. You have to learn to share. Secondly, marriage is about support, encouraging one another. Thirdly, marriage is about honor, respect for one another. After all is said and done, these are the three very important ingredients that makes every marriage work. And you will notice in that passage it says, "And they were both naked, and they were not ashamed," the man and the woman. So marriage is about openness also. So we share, we support, we honor with openness. You must be open. You must be ready to communicate. You must be ready to open your heart. You must be ready to share. For us Africans, we have peculiar challenges which have to do with our culture, where we are coming from, where opening up your life to your partner can be very, very uncultural, especially a man opening up to a woman. Because most men, when they were children, were told not to open up or show any vulnerability, isn't it? When you were a child and you cried, what were you told? You're a man, they said, a man does not cry. A man must not cry. And there is some truth in it, but that truth also has a certain problem with it. There is also some falsehood with that statement. There is truth in the sense that a man who marries eventually will become the head of the family and will have to take some very strong, bold decisions. So he has to be courageous and bold to be able to make the strong decisions. But at the same time, as a husband and as a father, the man must be ready to open up his life and be very kind and caring to his wife and to his children. So there must be a certain kind of openness. However, if you are trained to be hard and tough and think that your strength as a man is physical, you're going to have a lot of difficulty relating to your wife and to your children when you're a man. In marriage, we realized last week that the man and the woman were both made by God without each other's observation. When Adam was being made, Eve was not there. When Eve was being made, Adam was asleep. So both of them did not see the process of the making of the other person. And yet they were brought together. And that's what marriage is all about. Somebody who has been formed differently. Somebody who has been shaped differently. Somebody who has grown up differently. Somebody who thinks differently comes your way, and you're supposed to live the rest of your life with that person. You try to understand the person, and it is so difficult to understand the person. The number one problem in all marriages is misunderstanding. Misunderstanding. Understanding. Everybody say understanding. Okay. Now, you look at the word misunderstanding. It's not miss like a woman miss. But miss, it's miss, all right. Miss, lack of understanding. Understanding comes from two words, under and stand. To understand, therefore, you must go under. In order to stand under a person, to understand. You can never understand somebody if you feel superior to the person. Understanding takes humility. You can't be proud and understand. For me to understand you, or for you to understand me, there must be humility. I must be ready to go down. I must be ready to submit what I have, what I know, what I understand, what I have learned, my education, my background, in order to understand. It takes humility to understand. Misunderstanding is when people fail to humble themselves to learn from each other. Then they have misunderstanding. They fail to stand under. And that is the number one problem in marriage. Misunderstanding. The misunderstanding can be based on very simple things, or it can be based on very, very big things. The first point of misunderstanding is gender misunderstanding. Men are men, women are women. That's the first point of misunderstanding. A man is not a woman, and a woman is not a man. But both men and women grow up playing with their kind. A man, when he's growing up, grows up playing with boys, isn't it? He plays football with the boys, gutter to gutter with the boys, jumps gutters with the boys, climbs trees with the boys. So his reference point of understanding is based on a man. He understands because he's worked more with boys. The women also play ampe with the girls, learn all the things they learn with the girls. They talk with the girls, they converse with the girls, they have their fun with the girls, and they like their kind, but they don't marry their kind. The girls will go and marry the boys, and the boys will go to marry the girls. So you find out that although you probably might have attended school together, you were raised differently. So there is a problem of how both of you approach life. The way a woman solves a problem is different from the way a man solves problem. And last week I said that women solve problem by talking about the problem. Men solve problem basically by thinking through the problem. When a woman has a problem, she becomes talkative. When a man has a problem, he becomes very quiet. When a woman has a problem, she's looking for somebody to tell her problem to. When a man has a problem, he cuts himself from everybody. Two different people. Now, if you don't understand this basic thing, you may, in your relationship with your spouse, read meanings into things which do not exist. What is a man looking for in marriage? And what is a woman looking for in marriage? Both are looking for love. Is that true? And the men looking for love. And the women too are looking for love. How does a man interpret love? What must a woman do for a man to say she loves me? Respect. The number one need of most men, generally speaking, the number one need of men is to be respected. The number one need of a woman is to be understood. One wants respect, the other wants understanding. How does a man interpret respect? It's all based on culture. Because if you've been raised being told that when your wife pounds fufu for you after 9 p.m, when you've come from work, then she really respects you, then you will demand fufu at night as a sign of respect. Is that not so? Because we all have things that will show that we respect. So for some men, they will say, a woman respects me because she washes my things. She respects me because she cooks for me. She respects me because when I talk, she doesn't talk. So that is respect. And much as it is the way a man interprets respect, remember, it is based on the culture you have come out of. The thing about culture is that culture changes. It is dynamic. So what was respect in your father's days may not necessarily be respect now. Because in your father's days, probably, or your grandfather's days, the women didn't go to school. They stayed at home. The men went to school and they went to work. And they stayed in the office and worked hard, earned money, brought it home. The woman was sitting at home and she cooked and took care of the home. And so as a sign of respect for the hard work of the man in the office or wherever he went to, the woman must make sure that when he has come from wherever he went to hunt and look for food and look for money for the family, there is food waiting for him at home. However, today is not only the men who hunt, the women also hunt. So whilst the man is at work, the woman is also at work. And both of them close at the same time and struggle for transport at the same time and stay in traffic at the same time and get back to home almost at the same time, and sometimes even the women will work extra hours. So if you interpret respect by availability of a hot meal after a hard day's job, then you are going to have a serious problem with understanding respect. So that is going to create misunderstanding. And here the man is going to demand and say, I want my food. Some men will even say, I don't want anybody to cook my food. You must cook. But that demand has no understanding with it. Remember, the man is looking for respect. The woman is looking for understanding. Understand me, sweetheart. I work hard. How can I understand? You don't respect me. But you also have to understand. Things are different. How can I understand? So, one is coming from respect. The other is coming from understanding, and the two are clashing. Misunderstanding is taking place. And this little basis of misunderstanding can lead to divorce. Most divorces are based on little things like that. What the woman considers important is little things. What the man considers important is very big things. Little things matter to women. Big matter to women. Big things matter to men. How do I say that? A man will only notice in the house when a major thing has taken place. Maybe the gate of the house is broken, or he came home and there's a big, somebody has dug a big gutter, or something major has taken place. That's when he sees, hey, what happened? The woman will notice when the paint coloring used to paint the kitchen has changed. Man won't see it until the thing becomes major. He won't see it. That's why in solving marriage problems, you realize that most men wait for a case to become big before they start solving it. The women see it coming from afar and start warning, this thing. The man will never see it because men don't see the little things. They wait for it to be big. Because it is only when it is big that they feel it merits their attention. That's when they try to do something radical about it. But the woman sees little things.